There we go.
Oh, I should also mention that I was on the phone with Julie Huss about an hour ago, and she said to say hi. And this morning, while chatting with Honore Quarter, she also said to say hi to you guys. So
hello, Honore. Hello, Julie. It's all
two
ours.
shout outs out there.
I haven't talked to either of them in quite a while, although now that I'm in Austin, I did run into Honore at a Starbucks. I had literally no time. It was one of those things where I was rushing back home, and I was like, oh, hey, that's really cool to see you, but I got to go. So
Did you get a Diet
Pepsi? What an asshole. You don't have time for her. You brushed Whitney Davis off when you met her.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, Johnny.
So anyway, the other two, anything cool? Now that Brian had 11 cool things.
Well, Mike's something cool is Dave's haircut, actually. No, I have several cool things. I don't even know where to start.
I do too, unfortunately.
I actually know. I'm going to give one of my cool things. I know you'll be so hot for it, right? That thing. Yeah. So I'll let you do that one.
I don't know really what you're talking about, but
thing I'm not allowed to use.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Welcome to the most confusing episode of self-publishing podcast ever. Sorry you had to be on this one, Brian.
I think I'm helping with the confusion. I mean, there's been a lot of talk of guinea pigs, probably more than any other previous episode.
That's a guarantee. So there's an animated short called In a Heartbeat, and it was funded by Kickstarter, and it's really sweet. It's about two boys falling in love, and it's just kind of Pixar-esque and totally worth watching. It's like 3 minutes and 43 seconds. So check that out.
I have 3.
All right, fucker.
Go ahead and take the other one, because if you only have one, go ahead and take the thing you think I'm going to take.
Oh, you don't want that? Okay. Writer is done. So Writer was actually released.
Story Shop Writer
was released 5 minutes before the podcast episode just now started, and so
not released. It's
not released to the public.
To use internally, it's not done.
It still has to go through. I should have
taken this one. I knew he couldn't be trusted with it.
All right, I'm going to pass this something cool over to Johnny. Go ahead.
Story Shop Writer has been okay. So just let me back up a little bit. So obviously we have Story Shop at storyshop.io. That is world planning software, Kickstarter, blah blah blah. Like if you've been with us for any length of time, you know about that. However, at some point it became like we wanted it to be this full writing suite, basically. So not just plan your worlds, but then just you plan them and then you write them and then you publish and all that stuff. Now we're going to have to iterate forward, and this is this is preliminary on this, but Story Shop Writer, the component where you plan and then you switch over, you toggle a mode over, and you're able to actually write. That finally was turned on for us internally. Literally, like Sean said, 5 minutes before the show. And I then immediately had to get in there, and we were a few minutes late because I was playing and trying stuff out. And it's kind of super awesome to be able to, you have the beat and then you toggle over and then you write that chapter and then that sort of thing. And I'm just really, really excited. I've only played with it for a few minutes. It's going to have I don't know if we're allowed to announce the date. I don't know if it's firm enough, but very soon, we're going to have this available for everybody once we go through beta and just make sure that all the kinks are out of it. So that's my number 1 something cool. My number 2 something cool. I do have a real something cool, but these last 2 happened really kind of bang bang. The other is that people have been asking us about the Summit 2018, and we are officially kind of opening that for sale. That's at sterlingandstone.net/summit 2018, sterlingandstone.net/summit 2018. And it's like we just started kind of planning it, and I'm really excited about it. It's at the Renaissance Hotel in Austin, which is one of our favorite places. We've had several events there. And it's this big open ballroom, and it's just outside of the city enough that you won't have to deal with traffic and downtown prices and shit like that. And it's just a really cool location with a lot of stuff around, a lot of cool restaurants, a lot of places to hang out. And we're upping our game one more level this time. So that's
and the date of that?
February 26th and 27th of 2008.
Might be able to make it.
Might be able to make it. And if you have already booked, if you have already gotten your ticket or you're thinking about it, just very early on, I wouldn't book your flights yet, because we're going to put stuff before and after it. We don't know what and when, but we're going to have like, things like workshops or whatever. We'll probably have a Stone Table weekend too around there. So you may want to extend your stay, consider it. So just stay tuned. Make sure you're on the Smarter Artist list. And then my real something cool is a novel by Max Berry called Lexicon, which I gave it to Sean. And well, I tried to give it to Sean, but he's all on Audible. So I'm like, just get it. And I gave it to Dave and I said, dude, I know you might never read this and you might hate it. Please do hate it, because I know it's dangerous to give you anything. But it's really super cool. I think that any writer who enjoys fiction, who enjoys reading fiction, any writer would particularly enjoy this, because it's about a secret agency that uses words. Like it's like persuasion.
Yeah, that's like a boner plot for me.
Right. So there's there's all sorts of like they've figured out words that have certain effects on psychology of the people that they're working with, and it's
I can't wait to read it. The
storytelling devices are really interesting. I won't say anything because I don't want to blow anything, but I'm really interested in it on several levels. And this is the same writer who did Jennifer Government, which I've talked about before, which I also really enjoyed.
I still have not read that, despite you recommending it 5 years ago to me. But I love the premise. The premise is awesome.
Lexicon by Max Berry. So Dave, you're up.
My something cool is a trailer that's out for a new Netflix show, and Netflix has a lot of great shows. And this one was just so bizarre that it just smacked me in the face and made me like it. It literally it reached out and smacked me. It comes off like a true crime sort of documentary, like an 8-part series. And it's got this kid, and it's got like they do all the right stuff, like all the camera angles and stuff. Like this is a story of this and this and whatever. So it just builds up to this crime that took place and whether or not this kid did it. And then they show what the crime is, and it's drawing.
Someone stole his crayons.
No. Somebody spray painted dicks all over the school. and it's called American Vandal, and they play it so seriously.
That's the trailer you dropped in.
I'm sorry, that really is the crime? Are you serious about that?
Yeah.
I thought that was a joke.
No, it looks amazing. I bet it's either gonna be really horrible or really awesome, and I'm leaning towards awesome because they play it seriously, and I love it.
What's the title?
American Vandal.
American Vandal. I'm all over.
It's not out yet, but the trailer just released. So
apparently Kate Morgan says the trailer for Stranger Things season 2 released too. I've not seen that.
Yes, that also looks awesome.
I did watch Detroit last night on date night. That was really good.
The city itself?
Yeah, the city itself. we just watched the city. It was awesome.
It was a live stream.
On Apple TV they have those screensavers.
Right.
It was just that. But like the family wanted to watch a movie. We're like, shut up, it's date night, we're watching Detroit. And then that was it. It was awesome.
You know that episode of Friends where it's with Paul Rudd, where Ross goes over to his place or
oh yeah,
they just have the awkward
date ever.
We had sort of a situation like that because you talked about the Apple TV, and it wasn't awkward like that, but nobody kind of knew what to say to each other. It was one of those things when my in-laws came over once, and the Apple TV screensaver was just on, and we kind of didn't know it, and so it became this whole thing of like, what bridge is that a real bridge? What city is that? And we like, I don't know. Should I look it up? We looked up what bridge it was and figured it out.
Oh, what bridge is it? Because I know that screensaver, and I'm curious.
Well, it's San Francisco, but it's not the Golden Gate, and I don't remember which bridge it is, but it's one of the big ones.
If I was there, I could have told you how many people jumped off of it. It would have been a beautiful moment.
Because you would just be reading your tattoo, though, right?
Yes.
What happens when a new person, jumps? Do you have to get a new tattoo, or is it just tally marks?
Well, luckily I have a lot of space in my body, so.
Awesome.
Hold on, I'm going to the annex for this one.
That's his right cheek.
All right, so let's start talking about Amazon ads with Brian.
Yeah, Brian recently released, not too recently, back in February, I think it was.
Well, no, the book actually released on the 16th of July.
Oh, okay.
I started the Facebook group on the February 24th.
So the book is called Mastering Amazon Ads, an Author's Guide. And Brian experimented to see what he could figure out about Amazon ads. And it all began in Michael Anderley's Facebook group, right? Can you tell us how it began?
Absolutely. I'm in Michael Anderley's group, and back in January, there were a lot of people asking questions about Amazon ads, and I knew the answers because I've been doing them for, at that point, over 2 years.
For your fiction.
Yeah, for my fiction, exactly.
Right.
And so actually, not just my fiction. I also, during that time, I did a lot of work with Steve Scott and, of course, Honore, her nonfiction. So I had a pretty good base of knowledge, and I was answering questions, and people said, you should write a book.
All right. So before Brian says any more, I'd just like to give a statement to all of this that we haven't explicitly said, because why would you know it? And that is that Brian is like a super data geek. Like, if we wanted to know anything about data,
ask him about Geico.
Yeah, I mean, it was
you could say 15% on your auto insurance, with only like a 15-minute call. It wouldn't take that long.
Dude, like, gets a data boner or something. I mean, it's like he knows everything about data. He's way into it. So this is the perfect person.
But just to be clear, I am not the data guy that does Hugh Howard.
Correct.
He's on an entirely different plane.
He is
Nor is he data from Star Trek.
Anyway, so I decided that I would write a book about Amazon ads, and I did so in January. I had about 20,000 words. I thought it was pretty comprehensive, and there were about 50 people in Michael's group that had said they would be willing to beta read it for me. And I said, I'll that would be great, but the requirements are that anybody in the group agrees to buy the book when I put it up for pre-order at $9.99, and they all agreed. And later we'll get to why I wanted people to, well, obviously I want my $7, but that wasn't the point. Because I'm a data guy, I had some ideas for a few experiments I wanted to do, that if I had a group of people who would buy when I told them to, I could have a controlled burn and get some really interesting data. So the 50 people joined, and they started telling their friends, and the group grew and grew, and I didn't want to overwhelm people with all of the information in the book. So I put up just a couple chapters and immediately was getting great feedback. A lot of it was, this is over my head. And so I'm not one that does a lot of rewriting, but in this instance, my reasoning was, if somebody didn't understand something, I need to redo it. So I kept reworking chapters, and then somebody would ask a question about something that I was under the assumption that everybody in the world knew, and it turns out nobody knew it, so I would write a new chapter. And then somebody would say, well, what if you do this? I hadn't covered that, so I'd write a new chapter. The book ended up at about 42,000 words. Almost none of the original stuff is in its original form. It's much better written, and I have to give a credit to the people that gave me feedback, because the layout is better. I use a lot more numbered lists where I walk people through steps. The analytics and the math I have presented, I think, in a better way that is more easily understood. And so the group absolutely changed the final product, and the results have been pretty good reviews.
So let me, at this point, pause to say that Brian's book is called Mastering Amazon Ads, and by Brian D. Meeks. It's available. You'll see it there. But I just wanted to tell you also, don't be surprised by Brian's author photo. He's way more entertaining than as scholarly as that photo looks like. We expected him to be all professorial.
Oh yeah, the first time we met Brian, we expected Professor Meeks, and we did not get Professor Meeks.
Well, I could do Professor Meeks. I would need to get a pipe, but I have a pipe and a cardigan, and I could pull that off.
My pipe won't make you look much like a professor.
So what are the big takeaways, Brian?
The big takeaways of just in the grand scheme of Amazon ads, or
just start telling us how to make mad cash.
Okay.
How do you make it rain, Meeks?
How do you make it rain? Well, actually, that's an interesting story as well, because about 7-8 weeks in, I was starting to get people that were doing what I was telling them to, and they were reading the chapters, the rewritten chapters that I had put in very specific lists, do this, do this, do this, and they were getting frustrated. And I believe it's chapter 5 in the book is really just a letter to readers, to authors, about setting expectations, because in making the book accessible to everyone, I created the impression that Amazon ads were easy. Yeah, put up 3 ads, go ahead, buy the Mercedes on credit. You'll be fine because you're going to get rich. And that's not how it is. I spent 6 months learning Amazon ads back in 2015. The first 3 months, I did almost nothing. I was just testing with one book. Then I started to get some success. I had been wide. I started pulling my books back in. At that time, Amazon ads were only available to those who were exclusive. I did tests. I tracked everything in Excel. And then finally, at 6 months, I had my first $7,000 month, and that's when I quit my day job and became a full-time author. But I explained in the letter that Amazon ads require an enormous amount of time. It requires skill sets like copywriting. You need to have a reasonable understanding of Microsoft Excel, a reasonable understanding of analysis. And so I have these 5 things that people need to understand. And I went into it having 4 of them. I didn't have the copywriting. I actually wrote an email to you, Sean, and you recommended Sugarman's book, which I read, and it changed my life.
Mine too.
That's not hyperbole. I read that book, and back in September of last year, I redid my descriptions, my conversions, because again, I track all my data. My conversions on my description pages went from 1 in 30 clicks down to 1 in 10 because of that book.
Yeah.
And I've continued to get better at copywriting. It's an art form. And I did the math. I went back because I have all my data. I looked at the previous 12 months because I knew how many clicks I had. I knew what my revenue was. Had I asked you that question the year before at the Stone Table and you said, oh, go read the Sugarman book, I would have made.
What book is that? Got people asking.
That's the Sugarman
Ad Week.
Ad Week, and then there's like a subtitle that is 900 words long.
Yeah, just Google or go to Amazon Ad Week, Joe Sugarman. It's not the best book on copywriting out there, but it's so accessible, and it's very a fiction writer's going to enjoy it because the guy's a storyteller.
Yeah, and I think it was maybe originally published in the 70s because examples are print advertising from the 60s and 70s, but they're so applicable today. And you're right. It's for me.
You know the blue if you guys are our age and you remember the blue blocker sunglasses.
Yes.
Ads. Okay, this guy wrote those ads.
Yeah, it was the perfect recommendation. I just want to thank you for that. But I did the
pleasure, man.
And had I asked you a year before, the additional revenue from my Amazon ads, had I not done anything but change those descriptions 12 months earlier, was $60,000 I left on the table. That's a big number.
And the book was what, $10?
And the book was $10, exactly. So the point is, now it's been about a year, and my descriptions are doing much better. And so that's chapter 4 in the book. Is I talk a lot about the importance of conversion because, well, anybody can run an ad. If it's only converting at 1 in 30 and you're paying 20 cents a click, and that's $6, and if you only get $3, $3.50, you're not going to make any money. Even at 10 cents a click, that's $3 spend. Maybe you're getting $3.50, but with variance, maybe you have a run of 40 clicks. And so it's important to have proper copywriting in your descriptions, which I don't need to tell you that, Sean.
I want to back this up for
yes, sir.
That doesn't understand Amazon ads at all. What exactly are Amazon ads? How do they work? And what are they most effective for? Like fiction, nonfiction? So if you could just give us some.
Yes, absolutely.
I have no idea.
The Amazon ads are, when you're in your KDP dashboard, you can actually click, and let me see exactly what you click on. Just one moment. Let me see. Oh, across the top, when you click, you've got your sales dashboard, historical, month to date. The very last thing is ad campaigns. And that's how you get to the spot where you can run Amazon ads. In there are 2 types of ads when you begin. Well, there's always 2 types of ads. One is sponsored product keyword ads. Those are the most popular. If you go to a forum or anywhere, all the authors in the world are talking about sponsored product keyword ads. You can either have Amazon, by clicking automatic, they will come up with 30 or 40 keywords that they feel apply to your book. Or, and what most people do, is choose manual, and then they put in their own lists of keywords. So it may be the 40 that Amazon came up with, but they may also add, like for mastering Amazon ads, if I were doing a manual keyword, I might also pick write, publish, repeat, because people doing a search on write, publish, repeat are going to be authors. That would probably be a good keyword.
Yeah, it's a ton of crossover.
Exactly. And so the idea is you build these lists, and there are people out there that have built lists of 6,000. The most you can put in at any one time is 1,000 keywords. And so that's one type. It's the newer type of ads. Back when I started, there were product display ads. That's all that existed. And the general consensus among everyone is that product display ads do not work. They don't work at all. They're completely worthless. Up until January, when I started writing the book, my total spend from January of 2015 through January of 2017 was just over $42,000. The yield on the revenue from those ads was just over $160,000. So I was just below 300% ROI.
That's excellent.
My breakdown was I spent right around $100 on sponsored product keyword ads, the ads that work, and the remainder of that $42,000 was the ads that don't work. So they do kind of work, but this is an important point, and maybe one of the most important points in the book is that I understand why people think that, because they imagine at Amazon they are two separate systems. They are their own silos. They behave differently. So if somebody out there today hears the podcast and they start up, say, 5 keyword ads and 5 product display interest ads, tomorrow, some or all of the keyword ads will begin getting to impressions. None of the product display interest ads will have any impressions. The next day, same thing. By day 5, the keyword ads may begin to die. The product display ads still haven't started. Right now, they take between 2 and 6 weeks before they really get a reasonable amount of impressions. And I mean like 1,000 to 50,000 a day. And so if you're starting out, it looks like they don't work, and people kill them after 7 days because they're not doing anything. And then they write on forums that, oh, they don't work, and then that it spreads. And so it's a very reasonable myth to have started, but the realities are there's 2 different types of ads, and they also show in different places. So again, to the new person, the sponsored product keyword ads, if you do a search on a book, they show up right below the also bots. And so there's also bots, sponsored product ads.
Yeah, see, I didn't know that sponsored product ads supposedly didn't work, because my frame of reference is actually not publishing. It's other people who are killing it on Amazon.
Oh, well, sure.
With like not books, but other things. And I've never heard product sponsored ads don't work.
Well,
because they're more patient. It's a different mindset.
It's a different thing. And this is the product display interest ads is a different mechanism than somebody that is selling T-shirts or vitamins or whatever. It behaves similarly, but it's a whole different thing. You actually have to sign up for merchandising, and that's an entirely different world, and they show in different places, but they are very similar. So yes, I have a friend making $1,500 a month selling T-shirts on Amazon and using that marketing system. But again, it's separate from AMS, Amazon Marketing Services. Anyway,
I've just kind of a big question globally.
Yes.
So this is like not just instinct for you, but it's like happy juice, right?
It is. Yeah, that's right.
Love all this stuff. So what is the chasm in between your natural instincts and excitement level and, Joe Blow, author out there who's just, like trying to figure this out? Because I think with Facebook ads, it's the same thing. There's a frustration level, but this, because of the data, seems even more granular in a way. So
yeah,
how
I would
easy
agree.
is it for somebody to get from over here, like I don't have a copywriting book and I don't understand these numbers, to like the success that you're seeing, which is fantastic, but a lot of that is Brian Meeks specific, right?
Well, it is, but in the group, there are people in the group that were there the first week, and I won't give any names, but there's a person who their best month was $350, and I got a message that they just had their second consecutive $7,000 month. The person over 10,000, person at 36,000. There are people in the group now using what I've told them and are doing better than my best month ever. And to answer your question about the chasm, and they all went through it, is that there's all these things that you need to learn. You don't need to be able to write VB code in Excel and build pop-up windows and buttons and stuff. But you know what? You need to know how to sort. You need to know how to copy and paste. And some of these very basic Excel things. And a lot of people have never used Excel. You need to probably read the Sugarman book. You definitely, and I preach this a couple times in the book, need to redo your descriptions. And so anyone
can you do a second book on using Excel for people that don't?
Actually, yeah, I've written like 5,000 words on that book.
Wow, okay.
I'm doing Excel for authors, and so that's going to be a project I'm really going to focus on in September. So yes, I am going to do that. But to get over the chasm, people need to understand there will be math. I explain it in such a way that is.
I'm surprised Dave's screen didn't just go black.
Well, the thing about it, and again, this goes back to the group. The people in the group helped me. So raise your hand if you immediately know the formula for calculating ROI. And so a lot of people do not. Here's the deal. If you tell them how to calculate it using algebra, A minus B divided by B, you're going to lose them because they don't know which one is A, which one is B. But in the book, I describe it. Imagine the pile of money you made from the promotion minus the pile of money you spent on the promotion, get that number, and divide it by the pile of money you spent on the promotion. And I've received emails and chats from people that say they read that bit and that was worth the price of the book. Now they understand ROI. And so there'll be math, but I try to present it in a way that is not going to crush people's souls. And so all of these things, if you go into it and understand that you start out today, the first few ads are not going to make you a ton of money. You're probably going to have to spend several months at it, maybe 15 minutes a day, but for a fair period of time, you're going to have to read a book about copywriting, or at the very least, reread the chapter.
But you should anyway. I mean, yes. Whether it's Sugarman's book or not, I think every working writer out there should probably not be writing their own product descriptions, but should read at least one copywriting book anyway, so they understand 100%. Fundamentals.
100%. And like I say, the copywriting has changed my life. And even being in the group, because one of the early chapters I released was this chapter about copywriting. And in it, I talk about actually Facebook ads where I was trying to build my email list. And all I was doing was trying to give away the first book in the Magellan Apocalypse series. I would get clicks, and my first ad copy, I had them going to 8 different landing pages because I wanted to break out people by their gender and age group. So when I ran ads, I'd run 8 identical ads. So if you're a 42-year-old male, you went to one landing page that was identical to another landing page for a 25-year-old female. The point is, these came in, and I had data broken out by gender and age range, and my first copy for the landing page, I was able to convince 1 in 9 people to take the free book, which is horrible. So, and that was actually the point that I wrote the email to you, because I knew it was bad. And so you wrote back, and I read the Sugarman book, or I actually read about a third of it, and then I rewrote the copy, and the very next day it dropped to 1 in 7. Then my analyst mind asked the question, what if I wrote gender-specific copy? So I wrote copy for the female ones that was vastly different from the male ones. The 4 female pages went to 1 in 3 on the conversion.
How was it different, Brian?
The female ones, it was the copy. I wish I had it up, but the copy. Well, you know what? I think I do have it right here. Would it be okay to read it?
Yeah, I mean.
Okay. Let me just read the female copy here. I think I have it.
Oh my God, I gotta just stop for a second and say I love people. So Brian's only 1-star review here on this book. It's all 5 stars. There's like 1 4-star review, and then there's 1 1-star review. And the 1-star review is just bitching about the $9.99 price of the book, which like that's how you make money. You pay for oh my God. So you just told us about a book that you bought for $10 that helped you make $60,000 hopefully by
Additionally, I think when it comes to price, like I always pay more for nonfiction books because you have to figure it's a limited audience. How many people are actually buying that book as opposed to a fiction book, which has a wide audience.
Right. There's nothing wrong with your price. The information that you are giving for $10 is worth a lot more than the $10 you're charging.
If there wasn't the 70% rule, I probably would have charged $49.99.
Right. No, I
in defense of the guy who left the 10% rule, because he mentioned something in the description allowed. It turns out him and I are in a same group, so I reached out to him and I said, and I actually replied and I said, "Can I give you the book? Will you read it? And at the end, if you decide that it was worth $9.99, you'll buy the book and change your review." And he agreed to do that. So he's being reasonable. And one day that 1 star may change. But anyway, here's the copy. So this is the copy that I wrote. And prior to changing the copy, I was getting a conversion among women at 1 in 7. Now here's the new copy. Do you miss Firefly? Did you enjoy the snarky banter mixed with the genuine attraction between the characters? Meet Fristian Nash, a fighter pilot who's snarky, charming, and great in a fight. But will he save the day? No. Now meet Sasha. Her specialty is keeping Nash from getting killed. Sasha likes Nash. He's rather handsome, thinks he's a badass, and is under the impression that he's the hero. She thinks it's adorable. In their world, though, 2 heroes may not be enough. And then there's some other stuff, but that was the gender-specific part. In the male gender-specific one, which I don't include in the book, but it was all focused on the male protagonist. What's interesting, I mean, I think this is spectacularly interesting and tragic on many levels, is I put 3 of the male landing pages with the male copy, and I put the female copy on one of them. That page had, now remember, before I changed it, it was 1 in 7. It had 62 clicks on it. Can we get some guesses on how many converted on the male page with the female ad copy?
Well, you've set us up such that if I guess high, I'm going to feel stupid. So I'm going to guess 2.
Any other guesses?
5.
5. John?
9.
You got to guess. You got to play the game.
All right, 9.
0. 0 for 62. Not a single guy would read a book where the woman is the hero.
It's got women in it. I don't like it.
Yeah, sadly, I'm not surprised by that.
I'm not surprised either, but it's an important point, because if you've written a book that appeals to one gender or another and you learn some copywriting, you can tailor it better knowing that gender-specific copywriting has impact.
Can you connect the dots a little bit for us here, Brian? So we're talking about
Yes.
Amazon ads and you're talking about these different versions of the pages. How does that all work together?
Oh, very good. As far as when you say all the different versions of my descriptions.
Split testing ads, I'm assuming, right?
Oh, yes. And so, again, this goes back to you're paying per click. So if your description, all of my description, because I learned this stuff and then I went to my books page and I changed my descriptions, made them proper copywriting, used HTML, very short and punchy, and my conversion rate went from 1 in 30 to 1 in 10 to 1 in 12. And that's a huge deal when you're paying for every single click. If you're going to get 100 people clicking on your ad at 1 in 30, you'll get 3 to 4 conversions. At 1 in 10, you'll get 10 conversions. And that's why I say you don't need a master's degree in math to know that 10 is better than 3.
Wait, 10 is better than 3?
10 is better than 3.
But sorry, I think that what I meant was you're talking about these different versions of the description and the landing pages, and you're saying they're landing pages that had male copy and female copy and all that stuff. How are you? What's this? how are those connected to the ads? You're placing ads, so the ads are
no. This is a chapter that the only point of this chapter is that advertising copy can greatly improve your chances. And then so at the end of so the idea is I'm showing by changing what I had written, I went from 1 in 9 to 1 in 7 to 1 in 3 across both genders. But if you write the wrong copy, you'll be 0 for 62.
So you aren't split testing the ads, sending them to different pages based on different targeting demographics or something?
Well, no, I was for this Facebook ad, but that's not what you're doing. I'm not doing, that's not what I'm talking about in the book. In the book, it's back to, I mean, this was just a really try to sell the reader on the importance of your description sucks right now. All your descriptions suck. Go to read The Goldfinch. The Goldfinch won a Pulitzer Prize. It's got 25,000 reviews, 3.9 average, 3.8 average actually. And aside from the top where it says winner of the Pulitzer Prize, the rest of it is not good copywriting.
Well, they don't need the good copy because, well, they should have it, but they're just approaching the problem differently.
Well, they are, but the point is all the traditional books, you can look at all of them and it's all bad copy. If I were the manager of the Goldfinch and I had written good copy, they probably, I mean, I don't know how many sales it takes to get 25,000 reviews, but they probably left 1 million sales on the table because, well, there is a group of people that are going to Amazon and doing a search for the Goldfinch because their friend read the book and they want to be condescending at dinner parties. They don't read the copy. They just click and buy. A person that has heard about the Goldfinch but isn't sure that she wants to read it is going to read the copy. And if you have 1 million of those potential readers, this one is going to convert 1 in 30 versus good copy that would be 1 in 10. And they probably have had 10 million, 20 million people that have read that description that didn't go into it expecting to buy. And bad copy means they sold fewer books. And that's why traditional publishing is struggling. But whether it's traditional or indie, if you have bad copy, you're selling fewer books. And that was my point of that chapter. I mean, most of the book is about running ads, different tests that I've done. There's a chapter 5 where, or not chapter 5, it's a chapter about 5 ads that I ran. 3 of them were 15 cents, 1 at 17 cents, and 1 at 20 cents. The one that performed the best was the first 15-cent ad. It had more impressions than the 20-cent ad. My point there is that just because you bid more, it doesn't mean you're going to get more impressions. And of course, you're spending, 33% more going from 15 to 20 or to 20 cents. So you should be testing because most people, if they find something that works, that's maybe getting 40% ROI, they're thrilled, and they never test 2 or 3 test ads, and they might find they could be getting 100% ROI. And again, for those that don't love math, doesn't matter. 100% is better than 40%. 200% is better.
Wait, 100 is better than 40?
Better than 40%.
Can you explain that?
You can Google that. It's out there. There are several web pages that discuss that.
Can you explain the bidding system? The idea of a 20-cent ad or a 15% ad?
Yeah, that's a great question.
All right, wait, before you do that, are these Amazon ads only running on Amazon, or are they also running on Facebook?
They're only running on Amazon, but Amazon does a lot of retargeting. If you click on a book right now, if you went and clicked on the Sugarman book, I bet within 5 minutes you'd see an ad for it on Facebook.
Oh yeah, I know.
So that's a benefit.
I get dildo recommendations all the time.
Exactly. That's a benefit, and there's no way to track. If I ran an ad today and somebody didn't buy the book, but then tomorrow they saw the ad and changed their mind, that's not going to show up as a sale because of my ad. It's just going to be an organic sale, but that is going on. The ads that we're running, though, are only showing up on Amazon. As I mentioned, the sponsored product ads are in the line below the also bots. The product display interest ads, and this is, I think, a key element, they are the only ones that run on Kindles. And the difference is when a person turns on their Kindle and that screensaver comes up and it's an ad, it's only one book. So at that instance, you have all the real estate. It's just your book. And That's fairly significant in that the click-through rate on sponsored product keyword ads, it takes about 1,000 impressions to get one click. On a product display interest ad, it takes about 150 impressions. Now again, you're only paying for the click, so it doesn't really matter how you get there, but that difference, 150 versus 1,000, really shows how powerful the product display interest ads are at reaching the customers you're going after. And I've forgotten the question. I'm sorry. I got off on that where they were showing.
It was about the bidding. It was about the bidding.
Oh, the bidding. Yes. Did I finish answering your question, Dave?
Yes.
Where they show? Okay. The bidding is simply you start the ad out and you indicate how much you're willing to pay for an individual click. When I started, I was able to get clicks at 3 cents, and then 5 cents, and then 8 cents. Now it's probably, well, I still get a few at 8, 10 to 15 cents, but you can also, I mean, you could bid 50 cents a click.
These are just click-throughs to actually go to the product page, not to buy,
yes,
correct?
Yeah, that is correct. This just gets you to your product page, and that's the key element, and why it's so important to have the description is if the ad comes up, and my earlier example, if I were to run an ad for Mastering Amazon Ads on Write, Publish, Repeat, and somebody went to Write, Publish, Repeat, and they saw sponsored ad, clicked on my ad, and my bid was 20 cents, it cost me 20 cents to get them to my page. And
have you done
they may or may not buy
with covers rather than product descriptions?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the first part.
Have you done testing not just with product descriptions but with covers, which is like such a huge conversion element?
It is a huge conversion element, and I've not done it because I simply, I guess I haven't.
Well, it's way harder to be nimble there.
Because you have to swap out, and really to get enough clicks to have statistically significant data, you probably have to run it for 3 weeks to a month. It would be great. I mean, I actually do have a cover on my thriller, A Touch to Die For, that I have been saying for 2 years I was going to replace because I think it's a horrible cover. And every single time I suggest that in Facebook, I say, hey, I'm thinking of replacing A Touch to Die For. My readers like, I love that cover. It's one of my favorite. And I just don't think it's a really good cover. But nobody has told me other than me that it's horrible. So maybe I will test that one day. And I think it would be a great test, is seeing the value, because covers do matter. I know there's a woman in the group who has a cover that is just, it's like what indie author covers were in 2011. It just looks dated. It looks indie author cover. It's not very good. And the thing is, her book has really good ratings, like 4.5. I've read on the inside, and it's really good writing. Her description's great. She's just not converting. And I think, and the thing is, she's not converting clicks. Her click-through rate is really low, and that speaks to your question about the cover, because really, with very few exceptions, I think most of the people click on the ads based on the cover.
Oh, yeah.
And so that would improve your conversion rate as far as click-through. So maybe a great cover gets 1 in 800 versus a horrible cover that gets, takes 3,000 keyword impressions. But again, you're only paying per click. Now, on occasion, the ad copy in the ad that you're running does impact your conversions. I had one bit of ad copy for my satire Underwood Scotch and Rye that was, and I had just written like 9 other ads that were the way I had always written ads. This one, I wrote more snark than a snarkopotamus in Snarktown on a snarking spree. And that ad was consistently 700 to 900% ROI. My click-through rate was amazing. The people bought the book, and for about a month, well, that ad or copies of it were running, all the reviews were 5 stars. I found one bit of ad copy that people who like the word snark, I knew they were the perfect person for my book. That being said, that's the only instance I have in 2.5 years where the ad copy actually influenced I think, the buying description, because I believe a click is a click is a click. You get them to click. Once they start reading your description, they've already forgotten your ad copy. So it's not really having a bearing on their buying decision, if that makes sense.
So I have a question. You said it's very difficult, especially early on when you're trying to figure all of this out. And
Yep.
I think one of the biggest difficulties with any sort of advertising is how long do you stay in it before you realize whether or not it's going to work for you? Like how much money are you willing to throw away and just say, well, hell, I just wasted all that money. I mean, how do you figure out where to go? Obviously, budget is part of it, but what else?
Well, no, I think going into Amazon ads with a clear idea of your level of tolerance for risk. And so maybe you go in saying, I'm going to try it until I've spent $200 and then see how much revenue I got from it. And maybe, I mean, I think there's a lot of people that just go into it and think I'm going to try it. If it was a person going into it with a specific budget, I would tell them to be even more conservative as far as what they're trying, because again, unless somebody has a really bad cover and really bad ad copy in their description, just everybody I've helped, they're making progress. Some are crushing it. Some are making, 30 or 40% ROI, which compared to 300% isn't as much. But really, I mean, compared to what you get in your checking or savings account, 30% ROI, if that was all you were getting, you would spend as much money as you could every single day.
Right. I think that
as long as it's above zero.
Yeah.
This is a case where people, I think, tend to be a little impatient, and you can't.
Very much so.
It's not just the ROI, because you're trading time and education really here. So you can't assume that it's money. Like if you're learning to, I don't know, cook, and you go to take cooking lessons, you're paying for the lesson every time. You're paying for the food every time. You're not going to become a great chef, on your third lesson. And all of a sudden, but every time you go to that lesson, you have to pay for the teacher's time. You have to pay for the food.
Yep.
So
you can't expect to make McNuggets on your first visit.
No.
Right.
So you
but what if you could? What if you could?
I think it's unreasonable to try to, I mean, these are new skills that we're learning. It's not that Amazon ads are a magic button. It's that it's teaching you about ad copy and conversion and all of this. And if you stay with it and you learn a little bit, each time you do it, you're going to have slow iterative success. But you can't take a whole write-off. If you lose $200, you can't think I lost $200 and got nothing for it, because if you did your job, you got a little smarter. And you understood your product a little better. You understood your market a little better, and that is worth paying for.
Well, and here's another sort of look at the history of Amazon ads. I did very well in 2015. I ended up with 33,000 in revenue, which the previous year was 10,000. So that was a huge improvement, and most of that revenue came in the last few months and allowed me to quit my day job and cross off my bucket list, become a full-time author. So that's kind of a big deal. December of 2015 was my best month, over 15,000. On January 4th, Amazon sent out an email to all their authors saying, hey, you should try out Amazon ads. That day, the impressions dried up. There were, I imagine, thousands and thousands of authors who tried Amazon ads on January 4th or 5th or the 6th of 2015, and some of them are listening now. And here's what happened. And I predicted this because I was talking with Honore and both Honore and Steve Scott later in the day. And I said, you know what's going to happen? Because of the way Amazon has it set up, you're required to have a budget of $100. Now, you never spend $100. But the people are going to try the ads they're going to put in the budget. At that time, Amazon was recommending a cost per click, a bid. They were recommending 37 to 45 cents, which nobody's conversion is good enough unless it's a box set priced at $8.99, $9.99 to run profitably. That, and most people's books are $2.99, 99 cents, $3.99. So I said, the next month is going to be horrible. Our impressions are going to drop. That's going to be, our clicks are going to drop, our spend is going to drop, our sales are going to drop. But you know what? I bet by February 4th, they start up again, and they absolutely did. And so going back to your question about people, trying and failing, I would guess thousands of people tried, and they all wrote one ad. They put in their budget of $100. They bid 37 cents. They spent probably 50 of that $100, and they had one sale, and they gave up. And so it really kind of poisoned the well for a lot of people. But, now it's, a year and a half later, and people are trying it again, and there's more information out there. And so it's just easier to give it a try. But your point is absolutely valid, Sean. People are impatient, and it takes time. But like anything, I would wager most all the listeners in this group 5 years from now will still be writing books because we all love it. And so if you learn that skill today, whether it's copywriting, Excel, Amazon ads, and you get to use it for the next 30 years of your author career, it's worth suffering through the early months of learning how. I mean, that's my opinion, but I feel like it's pretty reasonable.
Totally agree.
I have a question. Knowing how shitty some people in the community can be, bring
it back.
Any question that starts that way, I'm excited about.
Well, I'm imagining a scenario where one indie author feels like another indie author doesn't deserve the success that they have, or they just hate them on principle for the fact that they breathe. Is there anything in place which prevents those authors from just clicking on those ads and like, I'm going to cost that fucker. I'm going to cost 40 cents, 40 cents, 40 cents all day long?
Well, I'm not aware of anything in place, but you have to understand that if the successful author in question that you're talking about they got successful because they're probably spending $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a month. And that one person clicking on 15-cent ads all day just ran up $10, $12, $20, and the successful author is never going to notice it. It's statistically insignificant. It won't even register on their data. So yes, the people out there could be mean to successful people, but unfortunately, the successful people are not going to know about their brilliant evil plan.
Okay.
What about the, a lot of things are great until everybody starts doing them, at which point they become not great. So what are your predictions about the future of Amazon ads as more and more people begin to use them?
Well, I think it'll be harder. I mean, it was, like I say, I went for 2 years and had 300% ROI. Now it's, I will do 200%, but it's still a lot. I expect that to go down. And you know what? I just don't care, because if it drops to a paltry 100% or 50%, I'm still going to spend as much money as Amazon will take. The other thing is, no matter how hard I preach to people buying my book, this is going to take time. You're going to have to work at it. People are going to give up. And so when they opened up Amazon ads to everyone back in August or September of last year, I saw an immediate drop because there were people testing. And it's summer now. I mean, summer's harder because there aren't as many impressions. There are more readers in the fall. September's a great month for Amazon ads. That's when it starts to ramp up again. And you know what? It's going to be harder, but I just don't think that, well, there's a number of things that I imagine will happen in the future that will sort of offset what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. At some point, I know that Amazon just announced yesterday or something that some sort of warehouse in Australia, and my friends in Australia that are in the group were excited because they think it may be an indicator that CreateSpace is coming to Australia. And I would imagine right now Amazon ads only run on .com. When will they open up to .uk, .in, .au? And so yes, there will be more authors, there'll be more impressions, but that will make it more successful for Amazon, which leads me to believe they'll open up other markets. And for all the people out there that have books that they've had translated, how wonderful would it be to actually be able to run Amazon ads on .de and drive sales for your translation of the German version. And so I feel like, yes, it'll drop, but there'll also be other changes that, sort of help balance out the scales.
One last question, and then we should close. This is queuing in on your you're going to spend as much money as Amazon will take. That wasn't hyperbolic. There's an issue of sometimes you can't spend all the money. Can you describe that a little bit?
Well, first off, I have to take out the word sometimes. You can never spend all the money. And in fact, in the chapter, I talk about the turning point for me. My own tipping point was about maybe 3-4 months in. I was looking at all the ads I had run, and I was just scanning over the data. I mean, just in Excel, just scrolling up and down and looking at it. And this is something that even the greatest math phobe, what people don't realize is humans are good at spotting patterns. We know that if there's a sign covered in snow and we're driving through a blizzard, but it's octagon shaped, it's a stop sign. I mean, we know patterns. I would imagine parents know, and I don't have children, I don't know, but I imagine if you're home, it's after 3 o'clock during the school year, and all of a sudden it gets really quiet. That means trouble's about to happen.
Children are in jeopardy.
Children, well, not in jeopardy. You're probably in jeopardy, or things are going to get broken, or the ruckus is about to begin. But there are patterns in our lives all the time. And so people who think they're bad at analysis probably don't realize that they're good at spotting patterns. Me, I'm good at analysis, so I'm always looking for them. I'm scrolling up and down, and I notice that my spend on all the ads that have ended, none of them are over 48%. Not one ad. And at this point, there was probably 200 ads. And I looked through all of them. And then I sorted by spend, and I looked at it, none of them. And at that time, I was bidding $100 for my budget. And I couldn't spend as much money as I wanted, in month 4. And so I asked the question, what if I put up a $200 budget? So I ran a bunch of new ads, and you know what? They all stopped spending right at around $96. But I was spending twice as much. So I tested 400. I tested all the way up to 2,000. Now I run ads at around $1,200 budget. A typical day for me, I will have exposure of about $80,000 a day. That being said, my best day ever in the last 2 years, I had a week where I spent between $300 and $350 a day. It's my goal to one day spend $1,000 in a day, and I haven't done it yet. So it is hard to spend money. You have to have a volume of ads. You have to, again, mess with your budget. It just takes effort. And so, you can put a $1,200 budget. That doesn't mean you're going to spend more than $50 of it. But if an ad takes off, you might spend $600, which is glorious.
Well, this has been a ton of information, and I think really helpful. It's a show that I'm looking forward to not paying any attention to the details, but Tammy can pay attention to all of it. That's exactly how I want this to proceed. So thanks, Brian, for.
I appreciate you having me on the show.
Well, I understand it was on your bucket list.
So. It was number 6.
Next time you come on, we're gonna have a panel with Kate Hudson and Kevin Spacey
and some guinea pigs.
Oh, that would be awesome. Oh.
So
Kate
Brian,
Hudson holding a guinea pig. Well,
Exchange will be holding a guinea pig
with Kevin Spacey. That's a good show right there.
Yeah.
So Brian's book is called Mastering Amazon Ads. You can find it on Amazon. Don't leave a shitty 1-star review just because you're an asshole. So Mastering Amazon Ads by Brian Meeks. Anything else people need to know about Brian? Other than your friend Flippy or whatever his name was who died on a golf course.
He did die on a golf course. But see, now we're leaving people on a cliffhanger. They don't know that story. But
that's why they all have to come back, because that story is like a half an hour long.
Well, I would love to come back someday. I guess you can also find me. I write books with Honorary Quarter. We've got a book, Finding Readers Out There, Making More Money, which again are about the business of being an author. And it's a bunch of things not related to Amazon ads that one can do to build their sales and build their fan base. And if you're looking to talk to me personally, the Facebook group is Mastering Amazon Ads, an author's guide beta. It's a closed group. I let almost everybody in unless it looks like they're just, some sort of spammer.
You wouldn't let Dave in though, right?
I would let Dave in.
David? Nobody would let me in.
Wasn't there a movie called Let the Dave In?
Let the right Dave in.
So again, the only requirement for the group is that you buy the book. And it's, like I said, I want my $7, but really I wrote the book. I don't want to, I spend 10 to 12 hours a day, 7 days a week doing customer service for the group, or people asking questions. That's all I do all day long. And I want people to at least have read the book so that they're not asking questions that are, like go to chapter 7, if that makes sense. So mastering Amazon ads. It's awesome.
Thanks so much for being on, Brian. And I'll just remind everybody that Summit tickets are on sale now. sterlingandstone.net/Summit 2018. Bigger and better. And so we'll close it up and we'll talk to you all next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Peace out.